All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people, just like you and just like me. And then there's a guy in another box over there. We've actually got an interview here, which is, happens every so often. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the lead guitarist for the Journey tribute band Continuum. His name is Sean Mormelo. Sean, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
It's another strange day in America, or as a global citizen, whatever. It's everywhere, and I wake up and I'm thankful I'm above ground and I have a family. But yeah, it's good. How about yourself?
I feel the same way in the supposed free state of Florida as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we could discuss that, but
yeah,
I promised I would talk to you about music today. You and I will have to get
absolutely.
together. Maybe I'll head toward the center of the state. You can come my way. We'll meet in like Sebring or something and hang out.
There you go.
Um, so you're in a Journey tribute band. Tell us about how the band started. The band is called Continuum, which I think is the coolest name. I know there's like Voyage and Departure and all these different things out there. How'd you come up with Continuum?
So all those names were taken. They always are, right? All the ones from the albums, and
Yeah,
Captured Live is like my favorite album. And I was trying to figure out the names. And my partner, Mark, he's the keyboard player, the
yeah,
Greg Raleigh and
yeah,
John Kane guy.
yeah,
He's the technical guy. I come up with all the crazy, wacky things like the names and stuff. And I don't know why that just works out that way. And I just kept thinking there's a certain era of Journey that I love and he loves too. It's that Raleigh on the cusp of Kane.
yeah,
I never was even a fan of like the Escape and the Frontiers and stuff. I always loved the older stuff.
yeah,
And so I'm like, I want to make this kind of a continuum of that era, but moving forward. And that
yeah,
was it.
yeah.
Continuum. Yeah.
And it's perfect because a journey is kind of like a continuum. Not that we
Right.
should have to explain this to people,
Right.
but it's just really cool. When you sent me a link to your stuff, and then I was just like, as I was telling you before we started recording, I'm like, okay, here we go. There's another
Yeah.
Journey tribute band because I'm friends with a few Journey tribute bands and I like a few of them. But oftentimes, I mean, even the dude who's in Anthrax, who sings Journey, Joey, somebody or other,
Yeah.
I was like, really, dude, you're going to do, and he did it. And I'm like, yeah. And then people keep
Yeah.
promoting it. And here's this band from the East Coast of Florida. And I did a couple of Holy Crap Batmans. I'm like, what's going on? This is really good. And then I posted it here for patrons to see, and the 100% great feedback. It was like, okay, here's another guy who sings really, really well. I won't actually quote what the person said because
Right.
their statement would offend a few of the Journey faithful on here. But tell us about how this thing got started.
So I didn't want to do a Journey tribute band for the same reason you just said, because there's so many of them. And we were in Nashville at the time, and as that other Nashville Journey band was starting, and we kind of were friendly with those guys. And Mark, my keyboard player, was playing with them in the beginning because their keyboard player had another career and he had to go off and do these road dates with them. And Mark, my keyboard player, his ultimate favorite band is Journey. He always wanted to do a Journey tribute band, but nobody could ever find the right singer, right? It's impossible to find a Journey singer.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, there's so many Journey bands. And then the one from Nashville got started and that got going. And we heard him sing and it just got more and more. And finally he convinced me, all right, we're going to do a Journey tribute band because we found a guy on the west coast of Florida, not the current guy we have now, who
Right.
could sing Journey.
Yeah.
And so we started working it up, started working the material up. And my keyboard player, Mark, who's the band leader, he knows every song inside and out. He'll get all the sounds perfect, the exact organ sounds that Raleigh used, the exact eventide that's on all the effects,
Yeah.
on the entire album, everything. And we got a singer, and that singer left. We had another bass player, and we just thought that was it. We're never going to find another singer who could even sing in that range. Because I'm a lead singer myself, but I can't sing in Journey range. I can hit those notes, but I can't sing in that range. Very
Right.
few men can, right?
Correct.
And my drummer, who's currently in the band, was like, "Oh, there's this guy I tried out for his original band. He sounds just like Steve Perry." And we looked at him. We said, maybe you could have told us this,
A little sooner.
What's up? Yeah. He's like, I'll give him a call. So he called Steven, another Steve, but it's Phen, our singer, on the phone. He's like, oh, I've got this Journey tribute band. These guys are really good. And Steven starts rolling his eyes like, hold on a second. Journey tribute band? I don't know. I'm not really interested. And then he starts talking to him, and he convinced him to come to a rehearsal and sing with us and listen to us. So the second he opened his mouth and started singing, our jaws just dropped, man, because we have in-ear monitors like this and stuff, and everything's all great sounding. It's a perfect mix. Yeah. And I look at Mark, he looks at me, bass player looks at me, and we like stopped playing. We couldn't believe it. Wow. Yeah, we couldn't believe it. And so it just, it's one of those magical things that came together. And then I started to get really psyched up on it after Steven, he came in the band, Steven Allen. Yeah. And we went through another bass player, and we found the right guy, and it just took off from there. We could never get anything good going on. We had we had corporate bands. We had all these things going on in Orlando. We moved from Nashville to start a business doing that. Nothing ever came, we couldn't really, it was so frustrating. As soon as this band got out there, boom, 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 things started to happen. And we got management, we got national representation and stuff. And they had all this tours booked for us. We had this whole thing, a game plan, like a 5-year game plan to become a full-time touring band. Yeah. It was ramping up, and then the whole thing hit in 2020, and all the gigs got canceled. And so here we are today. And we never really were able to get off the launching pad because every gig we book just gets canceled. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is there's no reply that I have here. I'm
sorry.
Just not much I could. It's just tragic. Especially when they give you a little window of light, that shines for a little while, and then they pull the rug back out again. And I could see this coming 2 or 3 months ago, when the rhetoric started to get, again, very inflammatory about how bad this is going to be again. Like somebody had, the puppet strings they were pulling. I don't want to get too deep into that. Exactly. I think you and I are on the same page with all of this stuff. Some people aren't, and that's fine, but we're here to talk about your band, which again, your keyboard player, I listened to Just the Same Way. And dude, nice. I was such a happy guy, because you talk about that transitional time period. It's like, I'm a bit older than you. So I'm 14, 15 years old at that time. And I'm clutching my Captured live album, listening to this music. And I'm thinking to myself, where is this band going to go next? Now, obviously Escape broke 40 years ago this summer and was a huge part of my life. But man, I love that Greg Raleigh, Steve Perry back and forth. Yep. The vocals, those guys contrast each other so much that the blend is so unique. And people don't realize, when Neil Sean went out and did that little Journey Through Time thing for a while, people were just psyched to see Greg Raleigh and Dean Castronovo. Now you guys have that same dynamic. Your keyboard player even kind of looks a little like Greg. I was thinking, you change his hairstyle a little bit. Not that you guys are going vaudeville, but he's back there and he's got that kind of more husky, deep, low tone to his voice. It's just, that's awesome, man.
Mark we used to, we came up since we were kids playing in cover bands and all that kind of stuff and writing music. He always was able to cop the vibe of the person he was singing. He could do the Chili Peppers perfect. He did Eddie Vedder perfect. He's one of those guys who can cop that vibe. And since, of course, Journey's his favorite band, he knows every nuance of everything, and he cops Raleigh perfect. It's great.
Yeah. And again, this is kind of rare that I'm listening to this going, okay, I'm going to find something I don't like about this eventually, or I'm going to hear, because sometimes like a vocalist, their timing or their inflection a lot of times loses me. Like they'll be good for a couple of verses and then I'll hear something go, okay, that's, you know what I mean? And I know it's a tough thing to do. I couldn't do it. And there's so many people in the world that don't even know what I'm talking about. And that's fine, because they're just turning on, the radio or whatever, and they're listening and they're going, this guy can really sing. That's all they know. And with your guy, I heard kind of like next level singing. You guys play really well together. You rehearse, or you used to rehearse a lot, I'm assuming, or
we rehearse.
Did this come real naturally? Did it gel quickly?
it gelled very quickly, but Mark and I had been working it up we actually worked the band up for about a year.
Yeah.
And we had that other guy, a couple other guys, and then Steven came in the band, and then we worked really, really hard for like, close to like another year before we even had our first gig. So yeah, we were going like 2 years before we had our first gig just to get everything perfect. And we can talk about what it takes to try to get a band down on any instrument.
Yeah.
To to the level we try to get it down. We're trying to be the closest musical representation of the band, of a certain time period of the band that we like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like I said, we base a lot of our live versions on captured live, all that old stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, because that stuff is burned into my brain. I know every single lick on every instrument in my brain. That's why if Steven sings like the Algeri part, I'm always looking at him because I'm expecting the Perry part or whatever, and
Right.
I try to get the main guitar parts as close as I can. And that takes a forensic, like a deep dive forensically to do it. And it's actually the hardest thing I've ever worked on. That includes albums, producing albums, for other artists, my own material, because no player plays the same.
Right.
Neil will play his runs. He plays these fast two-note runs.
Mm-hmm.
Most players like Eddie Van Halen and guys like that I came up with are doing fast 3-note runs. So I couldn't even play half as fast those fast two-note runs.
Yeah.
So I had to develop a certain style to try to mold my own playing into Neil's. And it's the same way with drums. It's the same way with anything, but it's really difficult on guitar to play like another player because everybody bends and plays differently.
Yeah. So yeah. I actually friends with another guitarist from another Journey tribute band, and he had to practice like the beginning to Hopelessly in Love. He said that was the hardest thing for him to figure out. Like he kept trying it and he was close and close. And then, he could kind of simulate it or whatever he said. He kind of, Billy Joel one time said, about his voice. He said, in the old days, I used to throw fastballs. Now I just throw off speed stuff and hope that people don't notice, and I thought that was a good kind of baseball analogy to it. But I mean, obviously you got to try to play Neil Schon every night, which is just, it's kind of like being the singer trying to sing Steve Perry every night. Or even, by the way, I'm a huge fan of Steve Augeri. So, whether it's Perry or Augeri or kind of a mix of both, I think that's what might make you guys a little bit more unique than some of the other Journey tribute bands that I've heard.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that. That actually makes me feel better too, because like I said, I'm always kind of fighting Steven, our singer, a little bit, even just in my head, because I just want to hear those Perry licks. And he throws the Algeri stuff in live a lot. But you're right. That I guess that does make us kind of unique, and also the go back and forth with the Raleigh and as well.
It's just and you know what, and that I think is what had fans really kind of ramped up for that Journey Through Time thing, was that you're going to see Greg Raleigh back on stage with Dean, and Dean can sing all that, and they're singing everything in the original key, which they don't currently do. Sorry, Journey fans, but they don't.
We do, by the way.
It was going to be my next question, and it's a good lead in, because a lot of fans too, they don't like they're thinking, okay, what's up with this song? There's something a little bit different about it. They can't place it because they're just used to hearing it on the radio, whatever. And then, it starts at that lower key and then it works its way. Once it works its way up a little bit and gets in the same area, it might be a little less noticeable, but I love it when the Journey bands, the tribute bands, I know the one from Nashville that you're talking about, they do everything in the original key. That guy is a beast. But I kind of I kind of like the way your singer sings. There's something unique about it. They like I was saying before, you guys kind of put your own stamp on this, even though you're faithful to everything. It's almost like you have your own vibe about it. It's weird because a lot of times you think tribute band, I want it to be just like the original. Now, with you guys, I'm kind of liking just the way you do it. I'm not saying it's not like the original, but there's something a little extra going on, which I think is good. It's just good because, like I said at the beginning, there's so many Journey tributes and some aren't very good. Let me just and you guys, I think, are very good. Have you recorded? I know you uploaded some stuff to your website and other platforms. Have you recorded anything? Like, do you plan on maybe going in the studio and maybe or doing like a live recording of a bunch of songs and throwing it out there for folks?
Well, I mean, we record most of the gigs because the board we have, we can record right off the board. And I mean, we could also just record basic tracks and I mean, there's a, like do it like that as well. But I don't know. It's like, that other band from Nashville, they recorded and put it out. And I mean, Neil just excoriated them for it. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to be, that's going to rub them the wrong way. I mean, just a tribute band alone. A lot of guys are cool about it. He's really not that cool about it. You know what I mean? Doesn't really like it. He's still out there touring with, some version of Journey at this point.
Yeah.
And it rubs him the wrong way. I don't think John Cane really cares, it rubs Neil the wrong way. And I just, as a writer and because my whole life I was a songwriter and stuff. I never even really wanted to play covers. I just fell into it because I could do it and I could make a living from it.
Sure.
But man, I don't know, man. It's like people ask all the time, and it's like I don't know if it's the right thing to do. It's not our music.
Yeah. Well, what I would do, and I know it's not, none of it's going to make you a lot of money, but what I'm saying is, you put, maybe you put it up live, put it up on YouTube so folks can watch it and get it. One thing that I'm really big on is production value. Like if you're going to showcase yourself, number one, you're not using auto tune, right? So,
no.
Okay, just putting it in there. I wanted verification because people will say, well, he's auto tuned. And I go, I don't know, he's not. Number two, if your production value is good, people will hear it and they'll go, okay, I want to go see this band, because they sound, you did a professional thing. You made something that wasn't just like, hey, we'll just throw a microphone, we'll mic up some parts of the room or whatever. And it's like, sounds like, how it is. You're like in a tin can and there's echo and it's horrible. I mean, you're in competition with the one of the greatest bands of all time, basically. And you're putting your wares out there. And then when people hear it, they're going to go, oh, come on, really? That's all you got on this one? But you guys, I think you've uploaded a couple of videos, I think to Vimeo, right? And
I think there is a YouTube page, but YouTube, Facebook shut our page down because they thought we were trying to be Journey. And they basically, it's true. We had all sorts of like lights and stuff, and they had a problem. I think YouTube had a problem with our page because they thought we were trying to, like, they gave us a strike on it. And I think Mark might have just not put it up there. Like we've been running into problems like that with, the major platforms. So it's a little touchy.
Yeah. It makes you want to think of conspiracy theories after what you just talked about a little while ago. Maybe Neil knows it's good competition. That's what I was.
Well, we're not. The thing is we're not competition. Right. Another reason. I'm going to put this out there. Another reason why I also agreed to do the Journey tribute band, and Mark had been asking me for like 5 or 6 years to do it. Is if you remember those years ago, we thought they were kind of like going out. We thought they were getting older. They were going to do like one last. I actually heard from contacts that know those guys that. They were going to do one more big tour and this and that. And I thought, okay, they're going to go out. People are going to be hungry for their material because I never want to step on anybody's toes, Right. But now they're like a really revitalized new version of the band and they're touring. And then we've got all these tributes out there too, I mean, I can understand them not feeling too happy about it. So I think it's a touchy situation with it when you're tributing a band that's still currently in some form playing.
Yeah. Live. Yeah. And you make a good point. Again, I think it's good and healthy for the brand overall because people are really inspired by what you're doing. They're going to have to go purchase some music. And that's probably going to, like, if nobody, for the first time, say somebody went out and listened to you guys and didn't know anything about Journey, they would probably go download some Journey songs after that,
Perfect.
So, I mean, it's going to benefit Journey more than it's going to benefit you guys when it comes to, actual music sales. The only thing you guys can do, and by the way, a lot of these bands today who aren't selling a lot of back catalog, all they can do is tour. It's really tragic, but you're in the same boat as, say, I don't know, pick an older band, and it's too bad, but that's the way the music industry is. Journey has a bunch of new songs in the pipeline. They got one out there now. pretty
Yeah.
good song. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say
Yeah. I
it's
like
the
it.
greatest thing I've heard, but it's pretty good. And there is a little bit of interest. I think you hit the nail on the head though, saying, things aren't what they used to be for older bands trying to market themselves in this era. It's a really tough thing to do. If you get into a video game or a TikTok video or some
Right.
weird thing, you might just bust loose all of a sudden again. But it's so random, I mean, but I'll say this, Sean, and then we'll probably just wrap it up. You guys have a really great sound, and if you can get some gigs moving forward, I know people on this platform and people in general would just love to see you guys perform live.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we've played some pretty big 700 seat venues and sold out. And we had our own concert set up in Daytona. And, we've done Terra Firmata over here in Stewart a few times. And I play regularly on the West Coast at a couple dinner theaters and stuff. And we had big things booked that just were canceled last year. So, and then we had that Matthews Alive thing over Labor Day that we were headlining the entire festival on a Saturday night. And so we keep getting these things, but we just have to, the industry just has to keep going, and that's all we can hope for, because we love playing live. That's what we want to do, that's why we built this thing. That's why we put all the work in, and people, I think I know this because I play for a living. I did 6 gigs last week. People are starved for live music. They don't want it shut down because what do they have? It's part of culture. It's a major thing. So
yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And I don't, I've been doing some videos on these topics recently, and I'm obviously, I think, in the minority, at least in the media world, about these things, which is, I just wonder, I mean, you're shutting down live music, you're shutting down vendors, you're shutting down bars, nightclubs, all these different things people would, patronize and help the economy, help people who are
right.
hurting. And I don't know, we're in a weird place right now, Sean, and I don't know, I don't see the end in sight, but I'm hoping. I know you guys, you booked a gig right for December out where I am, out in Cape Coral.
There's that Cape Cabaret out there. It's like a dinner theater. It's kind of it's a fun venue. It's an older crowd, but they're actually they actually get up and dance, and they like it and stuff. So we played there a bunch of times, and I think our next gig there is December, unless something happens.
Tentatively, yeah. All right, tell everybody your website and any other social media stuff. You guys you don't have a Facebook page, or
no? With our original one where we had all sorts of likes and we built it up and we had campaigns and stuff, that one was shut down by Facebook. I know, but we're on there. It's I think it's just Facebook Continuum Journey Tribute, or you could just put Continuum Journey Tribute in there. It comes up. So we're on Facebook, and we regularly update that one. We have an Instagram as well. It's the same thing, Continuum Tribute, and it's www.continuum. It's CINT, with two
U's,
just like John. Yeah, just 2 U's. Tribute.com. And so we have our videos up there that we made live in our studio. We have on Facebook, I think we put up some live video, like recorded off cell phones and cameras, just so people can see that it's not a put on.
Yeah.
Every show we try to put up some video from fans, and we usually set up a video camera back by the sound booth and stuff. So it's all up there, man.
Cool.
We just got to get it out there.
And the main website for Continuum?
It's continuumtribute.com.
Yeah. And you can see there are links to all of the video performances and some audio links. And people, you're going to be blown away if you go to that website and listen to this band. That's all I can tell you. You're going to be like, just like, okay, like I was like, here's another, and then you're going to like, holy crap, this is good, because that's how, the old days, Sean, that's how we used to do it. We used to listen to the music, and then we could make a decision based on how it sounded. But these days, things have changed a bit. So in any event, I want to thank you for coming on with my little platform here, and I wish you guys the best of luck in the future. And let's hope that maybe this thing will somehow get over itself and we can get back to normal again.
Yes. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.